What if the water you've been drinking every single day isn't actually giving your body what it truly needs after 60? That may sound strange at first. After all, for most of your life, you've probably heard the same advice over and over again. Drink more water, stay hydrated, keep a bottle nearby, make sure your urine is pale. Water is life, and all of that is true. But here's the part almost nobody explains clearly enough. After the age of 60, hydration is no longer just about how much you drink. It's about what your body is able to do with what you drink. Because after 60, your body changes. Your blood vessels are not the same as they were at 30. Your kidneys are not filtering with the same efficiency. Your cells do not hold fluid the same way. Your circulation is not as responsive. And your energy system is no longer as forgiving. So if you've been drinking glass after glass of plain water, and still feeling tired, heavy, sluggish, dry, puffy, dizzy when you stand, or simply not as vibrant as you used to feel, there may be a reason for that. It may not be that you're doing something wrong. It may be that plain water alone is no longer enough. Now, let me be careful here. I am not telling you to stop drinking water forever. I am not telling you water is bad. And I am certainly not saying you should replace every glass of water with some trendy health drink. What I am saying is this. After 60, your body often needs more than plain water to support healthy circulation, maintain blood vessel function, balance minerals properly, and keep energy production working the way it should. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. I'm Dr. Henrik Jonas Adler, and in my years studying the relationship between nutrition, vascular health, and aging, I've seen a pattern that is too consistent to ignore. The people who often seem to age the best, the ones who remain active, mentally sharp, physically steady, and more independent well into their 70s and 80s, are almost never relying on plain water alone. Instead, they build smarter hydration habits. They use simple drinks that support the aging body in very specific ways. Some help relax blood vessels. Some help improve mineral balance. Some calm inflammation. Some support nitric oxide production. And some may help the body deliver oxygen and nutrients more efficiently from head to toe. Today, I'm going to count down 5 science-backed drinks that can be added to your hydration routine after 60, moving from powerful to truly remarkable. And I want you to stay with me all the way to number 1. Because number 1 is something many people walk right past in the grocery store without a second thought, even though the research around it is one of the most exciting things we have for aging blood vessels. Before we begin, I want to ask you something simple. How old are you right now? And what is the biggest health issue you're dealing with at this stage of life? Is it low energy, poor circulation, joint pain, sleep, brain fog, blood pressure? Leave it in the comments below. I really do pay attention to what people are struggling with, and your answers help shape the topics I cover next. So take a few seconds and tell me your age and what's bothering you most. Now let's get into the countdown. We're going from number 5 to number 1. Number 5 is already impressive. Number 1 may completely change how you think about hydration after 60. Number 5. Coconut water. This one surprises almost everyone. Coconut water has been treated by a lot of people like a trendy gym drink, or some fancy tropical alternative to sports beverages. But when you actually look at why it may matter after 60, it becomes much more interesting. Because aging changes the way your body manages fluid and minerals. When you're younger, your body is generally better at keeping the balance between sodium and potassium in check. That balance matters enormously because it affects blood pressure, fluid movement, nerve signaling, and how your muscles contract, including the muscle that matters most, your heart. As we age, the kidneys gradually become less efficient. They can still do their job, but the system becomes less flexible. Sodium tends to have a stronger effect. Potassium intake often drops, and many older adults are unknowingly walking around slightly undermineralized even when they think they're well hydrated. That's where coconut water becomes useful. It naturally contains potassium in a form that many people tolerate well. And potassium is one of the most important minerals for healthy blood pressure regulation because it helps counterbalance the effects of excess sodium. Think of sodium and potassium like 2 sides of a scale. When sodium starts dominating the picture, the body tends to hold more fluid, blood pressure may rise, and blood vessels may have a harder time relaxing. Potassium helps restore that balance, And here is what makes this especially important after 60. Many people are drinking plenty of fluid, but the fluid they're drinking isn't helping correct the mineral imbalance that often comes with aging. Medication use, processed food intake, or decreased appetite. Coconut water may help with that. There's also another angle. Natural coconut water contains plant compounds that may help reduce oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is, in simple language, the wear and tear that builds up inside the body over time. You can think of it almost like internal rust. Blood vessels in particular are vulnerable to that slow damage. When oxidative stress rises, blood vessel walls may become less flexible and less responsive. That means circulation becomes less efficient, and your cardiovascular system has to work harder to do the same job. So coconut water doesn't just hydrate. It may help support the mineral and vascular environment that makes hydration actually useful. Here's the practical way to use it. Drink about 8 ounces of plain, unsweetened coconut water in the morning, ideally earlier in the day. Not the dessert-like versions, not the ones loaded with sugar, not the artificially flavored bottles that turn a good idea into a problem. Plain, unsweetened, simple. And here's the synergy tip. Pair it with a small handful of pumpkin seeds. Why? Because pumpkin seeds naturally contain magnesium, and magnesium works alongside potassium in ways that help support nerve conduction, healthy muscle contraction, and cardiovascular function. That combination can be especially helpful in older adults who are not getting enough of either mineral. Now, coconut water is a strong start, but number 4 may be even more important if your biggest issues are inflammation, achy joints, stiffness, or poor sleep. Number 4. Tart cherry water. If you're over 60 and you deal with sore joints, restless sleep, morning stiffness, or that feeling that your body is always carrying a little background inflammation, tart cherry water deserves your attention. This is one of those simple things that sounds almost too gentle to matter, until you understand what it's actually doing. Tart cherries contain naturally occurring compounds called anthocyanins, the deep red pigments that give the fruit its rich color. These compounds act as antioxidants, and more importantly, they help modulate inflammation. And that matters more than most people realize, because when people think about circulation, they usually think only about blood pressure or cholesterol, but the inside of your blood vessels is deeply affected by inflammation. When inflammation is present at a low level all the time, and this becomes more common as we age, the lining of the blood vessels can become more irritated, less flexible, and more vulnerable to dysfunction. Blood doesn't move as efficiently through inflamed vessels. Pressure can rise. Tissue delivery becomes less smooth. The whole system becomes a little stiffer. This chronic, low-level inflammatory burden has sometimes been described as inflammaging. It's not a dramatic, feverish inflammation like an infection. It's more like a low, steady flame that burns quietly in the background for years. And over time, it can affect joints, blood vessels, sleep quality, recovery, and even mood. Tart cherry appears to help because it supports the body's response to that inflammatory load. It also has another major advantage for older adults. It naturally contains compounds associated with sleep regulation, including small amounts of melatonin-related support. That's important because sleep and circulation are tightly linked. When sleep deteriorates, inflammation rises. When inflammation rises, vessels suffer. When circulation suffers, energy drops. And when energy drops, movement drops. Then pain often gets worse. It becomes a cycle. That is why tart cherry water can be so surprisingly helpful. It doesn't just target one issue. It may support the overlap between inflammation, vascular health, pain, and sleep. Let me put that into a real-life type of example. Imagine someone in their early 70s who is sleeping 4 or 5 broken hours a night, waking stiff, moving less because their knees hurt, and then watching their energy and blood pressure slowly worsen over time. That person may think they have separate problems, but often those problems are connected. The sleep affects inflammation. Inflammation affects blood vessels. Blood vessels affect energy and function. Pain affects movement. And lack of movement makes everything worse. A simple evening drink that helps calm part of that loop can be more powerful than it sounds. Here's how to use it. Take about 2 tablespoons of unsweetened tart cherry concentrate and stir it into 8 ounces of water. Drink it in the evening, ideally an hour or 2 before bed. And here's the synergy tip. Add a tiny pinch of black pepper. That may sound odd, But black pepper contains piperine, which may help the body make better use of certain plant compounds. You do not need a lot, just a tiny amount. The result is a drink that may help support better nighttime recovery, calmer joints, and better vascular comfort over time. And if you think that's good, wait until you hear number 3, because number 3 is one of the most researched drinks on the list, and may be one of the best long-term habits for both blood vessel health and brain aging. Before we move on, if you're finding this useful, take a moment to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. I share this kind of research-backed guidance because too many people over 60 are trying to piece together their health with scattered advice, half-truths, and random trends. You deserve information that respects your age, your biology, and the fact that what worked at 35 is not always what works at 65 or 75. So if you want more practical guidance like this, subscribe, like the video, and let's keep going. Number 3. Green tea water. Now, we're getting into the top 3, and this is where things start becoming truly impressive. Number 3 is green tea water. But I want to be specific here, because the way you prepare green tea matters enormously. If it's made the wrong way, you lose a big part of what makes it useful. Green tea contains a powerful compound called EGCG. The name is long and easy to forget, but what matters is what it does. EGCG helps support the function of the inner lining of your blood vessels, the endothelium, and if there is one part of the cardiovascular system that deserves more attention in aging adults, it's the endothelium. The endothelium is not just a passive lining. It actively tells blood vessels when to relax, when to tighten, how to respond to stress, and how to regulate blood flow. When endothelial function declines, circulation becomes less efficient. Blood pressure becomes harder to control. Tissues may receive oxygen less effectively. The heart has to work harder. The brain may be less well supported. And unfortunately, endothelial function tends to decline with age. That's why green tea matters. The compounds in green tea appear to support vasodilation, the natural widening and relaxing of blood vessels. In practical language, that means your circulation system stays more responsive instead of becoming stiff, narrow, and resistant. But there is another reason this matters after 60. Green tea has also been associated with healthier aging of the brain. Now, I don't like to promise miracle prevention for memory decline, because real science almost never works that way. But when you look at the broader picture, the connection makes sense. Better vessel function means better delivery of oxygen and nutrients. Less oxidative stress means less wear on tissues. And the brain, like every other organ, depends heavily on healthy circulation. So when a drink may support both blood vessels and the brain, that gets my attention. There's also a hidden aging process that green tea may help address: glycation. Glycation is what happens when sugars and proteins interact in damaging ways over time, producing compounds that contribute to tissue stiffening. In blood vessels, that stiffening matters. It's part of why arteries can start to feel, biologically speaking, older than the rest of you. Green tea may help reduce some of that burden. But again, and this is important, preparation matters. Do not pour boiling water directly onto your green tea and walk away for 10 minutes. That is one of the easiest ways to reduce the delicate compounds you're trying to preserve. Instead, brew green tea at around 175 Fahrenheit, not a full rolling boil. Let it steep for about 3 minutes. Then let it cool slightly before drinking. Late morning tends to be an excellent time for it, especially if you're sensitive to caffeine and don't want it interfering with sleep. And here's the synergy tip. Add a squeeze of fresh lemon juice. This is one of my favorite little upgrades because it's so simple and so effective. The vitamin C and acidity from lemon can help stabilize the beneficial compounds in green tea and may improve how well your body uses them. So now you have a drink that may support vessel flexibility, circulation efficiency, oxidative balance, and even the long game of healthy cognitive aging. That's number 3. And if this list had ended here, it would already be worth paying attention to. But number 2 is where things become truly surprising, because this next drink has shown effects that make many people ask the same question. Why isn't everybody talking about this? Number 2. Hibiscus water. Number 2 is hibiscus water. That deep red herbal drink made from hibiscus flowers may be one of the most underappreciated tools for supporting healthy blood pressure and vascular function after 60. And the reason it matters is because it appears to work through multiple helpful pathways at once. Hibiscus contains anthocyanins and organic plant acids that seem to help blood vessels relax. Some of its effects have even been compared to the same general biological direction targeted by certain common blood pressure medications. Not as a replacement, of course, but as a sign that this plant is doing something physiologically meaningful. That is what makes it so interesting. This isn't just colored water. This isn't just a comforting tea. This is a drink with real vascular relevance. As we age, our arteries naturally become less elastic. That means the heart must push harder to move blood through a system that is becoming stiffer. That extravascular resistance is one reason blood pressure becomes more common with age. Now imagine giving the body a natural compound that helps encourage those vessels to relax. That's the promise of hibiscus. There's also evidence that hibiscus may help support healthier cholesterol handling, particularly LDL. And while cholesterol is only one part of the cardiovascular story, anything that supports a healthier vascular environment deserves serious consideration. What I especially like about hibiscus is that older adults can often feel its effects in a very practical way. Not in the form of a dramatic overnight transformation, but in the form of numbers slowly improving, morning heaviness easing, pressure readings becoming steadier, and energy becoming less dependent on pushing through fatigue. That's the kind of benefit that matters in real life. Because when circulation improves, everything downstream improves too. Your tissues are fed better, your heart works under less strain, your brain gets more consistent blood flow, your walking feels easier, your stamina lasts longer. Here's how to prepare it. Use about 2 to 3 tablespoons of dried hibiscus flowers in 8 ounces of hot water. Let it steep for around 5 to 7 minutes, then cool it and drink it plain. Do not load it with sugar. That defeats the purpose. If you truly need a little sweetness, keep it minimal. And here's the synergy tip. Pair it with a small square of dark chocolate, ideally 85% cacao or higher. Why? Because dark chocolate contains flavanols, and those compounds may complement the vascular actions of hibiscus in a very elegant way. Together, they may help support nitric oxide pathways and vessel relaxation more effectively than either one alone. Now, I do need to say something important here. If you are already taking medication for blood pressure, talk to your physician before adding hibiscus regularly, and I mean that sincerely, not as some routine disclaimer. If something is powerful enough to help, it may also be powerful enough to require attention when combined with medication. That matters. Now we've reached the final drink, and this, in my opinion, is the most impactful one on the list. If the others support hydration, minerals, inflammation, or vascular flexibility, this one goes directly after one of the most important aging mechanisms of all. Number 1. Beetroot water. Number 1 is beetroot water. Fresh beetroot juice diluted with water, or a high-quality beetroot powder mixed into water, may be one of the most effective drinks available for supporting circulation after 60. And the reason comes down to one incredibly important molecule. Nitric oxide. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember nitric oxide. Because nitric oxide is one of the key signaling molecules that tells blood vessels to relax, widen, and become more efficient at carrying blood where it needs to go. When nitric oxide availability is good, blood moves better. Oxygen delivery improves. The heart doesn't have to strain as much. Muscles may fatigue less quickly. The brain may be better supplied. Blood pressure may be easier to manage. But here's the problem. As we age, our natural nitric oxide production declines. And that decline is one of the hidden reasons older adults often experience rising blood pressure, reduced exercise tolerance, colder hands and feet, slower recovery, and that heavy, tired feeling that can creep into daily life. Beetroot matters because it is rich in dietary nitrates. When you consume those nitrates, your body can convert them, with help from oral bacteria and internal chemistry, into nitric oxide. In other words, beetroot gives the body raw material for a pathway that tends to weaken with age. That is a big deal, because many older adults are not just dehydrated. They are under-supported at the level of blood vessel signaling. And when that signaling improves, the difference can be very noticeable. Walking may feel easier. Physical activity may last longer. Legs may feel less heavy. Mental clarity may improve. Stamina can begin to come back. This is why beetroot has drawn so much attention in both cardiovascular and exercise research. For someone over 60, even modest improvements in blood flow matter enormously. A small increase in endurance is not just a number in a study. It may be the difference between climbing the stairs without stopping, getting through a grocery trip without exhaustion, keeping up with grandchildren, or continuing to garden, travel, and live independently. That's why I put beetroot at number 1. It is not glamorous, it is not trendy in the flashy sense, but it directly supports something the aging body urgently needs. Here's how to use it. You have 2 practical options. Option 1. Juice 2 medium raw beets and dilute the juice with water. Option 2. Use 1 to 2 teaspoons of a high-quality beetroot powder stirred into 8 ounces of water. Make sure the powder doesn't come loaded with sugar, artificial colors, or unnecessary fillers. Now, here's the important timing note. Beetroot tends to work best when used about 60 to 90 minutes before your most active part of the day. That could be before your morning walk, before gardening, before your rehab exercises, before errands, before any period when you want better stamina and circulation support. That gives the body time to convert the nitrates into more active nitric oxide support. And here is the best synergy tip in the entire video. Pair your beetroot drink with vitamin C. This could be a little orange, kiwi, bell pepper, strawberries, or even a small splash of citrus. Vitamin C may help support nitric oxide stability, which means the benefits of that pathway may last longer and function better. One more very practical note. Beetroot can turn urine or stool reddish. That can be surprising if you're not expecting it, but in most cases, it is harmless. It's just the pigment. So don't panic, it's not blood, it's the beets. Now let's step back and put all 5 drinks together. What these 5 drinks are really doing for your body. After 60, I don't want you to leave this video thinking I just handed you a random list of trendy beverages. There's a deeper message here. After 60, your body is not asking only for hydration. It is asking for supported hydration. It is asking for help with mineral balance, vascular, flexibility, inflammation, control nitric oxide production, recovery, sleep, oxygen, delivery, and energy maintenance. That is why plain water alone can sometimes feel like it's not enough anymore. You drink it, but your energy still drags. You drink it, but your hands and feet still feel cold. You drink it, but your blood pressure is still stubborn. You drink it, but your body still feels dry, stiff, and tired, because the issue may not be only fluid. The issue may be what the aging body needs alongside that fluid. Let's quickly recap. Coconut water helps support potassium balance and hydration quality. Tart cherry water supports inflammation control, sleep, and recovery. Green tea water helps support the endothelium, vessel flexibility, and brain aging. Hibiscus water may support healthier blood pressure and vascular relaxation. Beetroot water helps rebuild nitric oxide support, one of the most important vascular pathways that declines with age. That's not hype, that's strategy. And this is where I want to speak to you directly. If you are over 60, your body is not failing you. It is communicating with you. It is telling you what it no longer has in abundance, what it no longer compensates for as easily, what it needs more help with than it once did. That's not weakness, that's biology. And the beautiful thing is that biology responds. It responds to daily habits. It responds to better inputs. It responds to steady support. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need a closet full of supplements. You do not need a 22-step anti-aging routine. Sometimes the turning point begins with something as simple as changing what's in your glass. That may sound small, but small choices repeated every day become the architecture of health. A better morning drink, a smarter evening drink, a more supportive hydration habit, a little more circulation support, a little less inflammation, a little better sleep, a little more stamina. And then one day, those little things are not little anymore. They become the reason you feel steadier walking. They become the reason you get through the afternoon with energy. They become the reason you start moving more, sleeping better, and trusting your body again. That is how real health change usually happens, not in one dramatic moment, but in a chain of smart, repeatable decisions. How to start without overcomplicating it now. Please do not go out and try all 5 at once tomorrow morning. That's not necessary, and it's not the best way to learn what works for your body. Instead, choose one. Start with the drink that matches your biggest need. If your issue is blood pressure or circulation, hibiscus or beetroot may be the best place to begin. If your issue is inflammation, stiffness, or poor sleep, tart cherry may be a better fit. If your issue is hydration quality or mineral balance, coconut water is a good starting point. If your goal is long-term vascular and cognitive support, green tea belongs in the conversation. Use one consistently for a couple of weeks. Notice how you feel. Notice your energy. Notice your blood pressure if you monitor it. Notice your sleep. Notice your recovery. And most importantly, talk with your physician if you have kidney disease, are on blood pressure medication, blood thinners, diabetes medication, or any medical condition where dietary changes may need supervision. That's not fear, that's wisdom. Because the goal is not just to add healthy things. The goal is to add them intelligently. Final message, let me leave you with this. Your blood vessels have been carrying you for decades. They have adapted through stress, meals, illness, recovery, emotion, and time. They have shown up for you every hour of every day, quietly doing one of the most important jobs in the human body. After 60, they deserve support. And the good news is that support does not always have to be complicated or expensive. Sometimes it begins with what you drink. If this video helped you, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because every week I share research-based guidance designed specifically for people who want to age with more strength, clarity, mobility, and independence. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 drinks are you going to try first? Tell me in the comments below, and if you already use coconut water, tart cherry, green tea, hibiscus, or beetroot, tell us what your experience has been. Your comment might be exactly what another person needs to see today. Take good care of yourself. And I'll see you in the next video.